5 minutes votes. Pursuant to Clause 8 of Rule 20, the unfinished business is the vote on the motion of the gentleman from California, Mr. Issa, to suspend the rules and pass H.R. 1105, on which the yeas and nays are ordered. The clerk will report the title.
H.R. 1105, a bill to amend the DNA Analysis Backlog Elimination Act of 2000 to reauthorize the Debbie Smith DNA Backlog Grant Program and for the purposes.
The question is, will the House suspend the rules and pass the bill as amended? Members will record their votes by electronic device. This is a 15-minute vote. Proceedings will resume on questions previously postponed. Votes will be taken in the following order. Motions to suspend the rules and pass H.R. 1105 and H.R. 593. The first electronic vote will be conducted as a 15-minute vote. Pursuant to Clause 9 of Rule 20, remaining electronic votes will be conducted as 5 minutes votes. Pursuant to Clause 8 of Rule 20, the unfinished business is the vote on the motion of the gentleman from California, Mr. Issa, to suspend the rules and pass H.R. 1105, on which the yeas and nays are ordered. The clerk will report the title.
H.R. 1105, a bill to amend the DNA Analysis Backlog Elimination Act of 2000 to reauthorize the Debbie Smith DNA Backlog Grant Program and for the purposes.
The question is, will the House suspend the rules and pass the bill as amended? Members will record their votes by electronic device. This is a 15-minute vote. On this vote, the yeas are 405, the nays are 0. Two-thirds being in the affirmative, the rules are suspended, the bill is passed, and without objection, the motion to reconsider is laid on the table.
He's going to switch with you now.
Yeah, I was going to do that for him, too. Mr. Speaker.
Same thing that's up there already.
The House will be in order. The House will be in order. The chair lays before the House a communication.
The Honorable, the Speaker, House of Representatives, sir, I have the honor to transmit herewith.
The House will be in order, please. Clerks are recognized.
I have the honor to transmit herewith a copy of a letter received from Mr. Greg M. Amore, Secretary of State, State of Rhode Island, indicating that according to the unofficial results of the special election held on November 7, 2023, the Honorable Gabriel Amo was elected representative to Congress for the 1st Congressional District of Rhode Island. Signed sincerely, Kevin F. McCumber, Acting Clerk.
For what purpose does the gentleman from Rhode Island, Mr. Magaziner, seek recognition?
Mr. Speaker, I ask unanimous consent that the gentleman from Rhode Island, the Honorable Gabe Amo, be permitted to take the oath of office today. His certificate of election has not arrived, but there is no contest and no question has been raised with regard to his election.
Without objection, will Representative-elect Amo and the member of the Rhode Island delegation present themselves in the well? The member. All members will rise, and the representative-elect will please raise his right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that you will support and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic, that you will bear true faith and allegiance to the same, that you take this obligation freely without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion, and that you will well and faithfully discharge the duties of the office on which you are about to enter, so help you God?
I will.
Congratulations, you are now a member of the 118th Congress. Without objection, the gentleman from Rhode Island, Mr. Magaziner, is recognized for 1 minute.
Mr. Speaker, the people of Rhode Island's 1st Congressional District have elected a representative with the character, the credentials, and the commitment to be an effective member of this body from day one. As one of the original 13 states, Rhode Island has been electing representatives to the House since 1790. And in those 233 years, Rhode Island has never sent an African American or any person of color to Congress until today. But Gabe Amo will be the first to tell you, he did not come here to make history. He came here to make a difference. Make a difference for working people like his parents who immigrated to the United States from Ghana and Liberia. Gabe's mother, Weedy, is a nurse. His father, Gabriel, runs the family liquor store. They came to America because they believe in the promise of this country. They settled in Pawtucket, Rhode Island, a diverse, blue-collar community of brick mills and triple-decker houses where people value a hard day's work. This is where Gabe Amo comes from, and he has chosen to devote his career to public service, working in the Rhode Island State House for then-Governor Gina Raimondo, and in the White House for President Obama and President Biden. And by the way, shout out to the staffers who do not get enough credit in this town. Can we have a round of applause for them, please? Now in Congress, Gabe is ready to fight for the America that inspired his parents all those years ago. An America where workers can get fair pay and benefits and the right to join a union like his mother did. An America where immigrants, like Gabe's parents, are welcomed to this country with kindness and not with cruelty. An America that stands with democracies and not dictators. An America where freedom means freedom for everybody, including women to make their own health care decisions and LGBTQ Americans to marry the person they love. And an America where we have the God-given right to choose our own leaders and not have the results challenged and denied by the losing side. Now, I have known Gabe Amo since we were both teenagers, and I can tell you, he has the values, he has the commitment to America, and he has a love for service that runs deep. He is the right person to serve in this House at this moment. And it gives me great pleasure to introduce for the first time as our colleague, the gentleman from Rhode Island, Gabe Amo.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, Representative Magaziner, for the warm introduction. And thank you to Senators Jack Reed and Sheldon Whitehouse, who, alongside Representative Magaziner and I, make up our small but very mighty Rhode Island congressional delegation. And of course, to my predecessor, former Representative David Cicilline. I'm grateful for your service to Rhode Island. I look forward to our work together in both of our new roles. To my family, friends, community leaders, and all those who have supported me along the way, thank you. And of course, thank you to the people of the 1st Congressional District and those across Rhode Island for giving me the opportunity to serve in the People's House. I want to tell you a story about Rhode Island. Reverend Marlon Van Horn was elected to the Rhode Island General Assembly in 1885, making him the first black person to serve in the state legislature. Just think, Reverend Van Horn was elected as a black man nearly 2 decades after the end of the Civil War. In an 1887 sermon, the Reverend said, "I believe the day is coming, is not far off, when in the Commonwealth of Rhode Island, the stomping ground of soul, liberty will become the home of the free and the land of the truly brave, the home of the free where fair play in all walks of life will be accorded." Those words are at top of mind for me today. Reverend Van Horn's dream and the dreams of those who have called Rhode Island home across generations allow me to stand before you today. And while we have not arrived at our final destination in this project of our democracy, I am optimistic. As a Rhode Islander, it's easy for me. After all, our state motto is hope. It is hope that led my parents to come from West Africa, my dad from Ghana, my mom from Liberia, to pursue opportunity in the greatest country in the world. But this is not just my story. It's a Rhode Island story. It's an American story. And that shared story is why today I am proud to be the representative from Rhode Island's 1st Congressional District. And what is beautiful about Hope is that it cares not about your race, your religion, your gender, or where your ancestors came from. This belief has inspired people who arrived in Rhode Island from Italy and Ireland, Portugal and France, Dominican Republic and Haiti and Colombia, Armenia, and yes, countries in West Africa, and so many places in between. And I, of course, must acknowledge those whose family branches extend from the native tribes of our shores to the settlers who came for religious freedom, to those who did not choose their journey because they were enslaved people, but whose hope persisted nonetheless. Together, and why I'm here, is that we ensure our great hope for the future is met with profound action. Action to protect and strengthen retirement security, support our seniors, create economic opportunity and good-paying jobs, secure reproductive freedom and keep politics out of the doctor's office, ensure the livability of our planet for our children and their grandchildren, ban assault weapons and end gun violence, and stand up to the threats facing our democracy. So this hallowed space, this House floor, is where we have always had to work vigorously towards the promise of our nation's highest ideals and aspirations. And I cannot wait to work on behalf of the people of the 1st Congressional District. Everyone from Woonsocket to Newport, East Providence to Cumberland, Providence to Bristol, and of course, the great city of Pawtucket. So Rhode Island, thank you for putting your trust in me to bring our values of hard work, grit, determination, resilience in the face of adversity, all the way from the Ocean State to the halls of the United States Congress. I will work hard for those people in Rhode Island, those people across this country every single day. So thank you for this privilege, and Mr. Speaker, I yield back.
Under Clause 5D of Rule 20, the chair announces to the House that in light of the administration of the oath of the gentleman from Rhode Island, the whole number of the House is now 434. Pursuant to Clause 8 of Rule 20, the unfinished business is the vote on the motion of the gentleman from Illinois, Mr. Bost, to suspend the rules and pass H.R. 593, on which the yeas and nays are ordered. The clerk will report the title.
H.R. 593, a bill to rename the Department of Veterans Affairs Community-Based Outpatient Clinic in Hinesville, Georgia, as the John Gibson, Dan James, William Sapp, and Frankie Smiley VA Clinic.
The question is, will the House suspend the rules and pass the bill? Members will record their votes by electronic device. This is a 5-minute vote.
members voted? Does anyone wish to change their vote? On this vote, the yeas are 409, the nays are 0, 1 is recorded as present. 2/3 being in the affirmative, the rules are suspended, the bill is passed, and without objection, the motion to reconsider is laid on the table. The House will be in order. The House will be in order. Members, please take your conversations outside. The House will be in order. For what purpose does the gentlewoman from Georgia seek recognition?
Mr. Speaker, I rise to a question of the privileges of the House and offer the resolution previously noticed.
The clerk will report the resolution.
Resolved that Alejandro Nicholas Mayorkas, Secretary of Homeland Security, is impeached for high crimes and misdemeanors, and that the following articles of impeachment be exhibited to the United States Senate. Articles of impeachment exhibited by the House of Representatives of the United States of America in the name of itself and of the people of the United States of America against Alejandro Nicholas Mayorkas, Secretary.
Clerk will report.
Against Alejandro Nicholas Mayorkas, Secretary of Homeland Security, and maintenance and support of its impeachment against him for high crimes and misdemeanors. Article 1. Rather than adhering to an oath he took to defend and secure our country and uphold the Constitution when he was sworn in as Secretary of Homeland Security, Alejandro Nicholas Mayorkas has engaged in a pattern of conduct that is incompatible with the laws of the United States as follows. Article 2 of the Constitution requires that the executive branch, which today includes the Secretary of Homeland Security, ensure the laws passed by Congress and signed into law by the President are faithfully executed. The Secure Fence Act of 2006, Public Law 109-367, requires that the Secretary of Homeland Security maintain operational control over the entire international land and maritime borders of the United States. In his willful admittance of border crossers, terrorists, human traffickers, drugs, and other contraband, Alejandro Nicholas Mayorkas has failed to maintain operational control of the border, thereby violating the Secure Fence Act of 2006. The guarantee clause set forth in Article 4, Section 4 of the Constitution dictates, the United States shall guarantee to every state in this union a Republican form of government and shall protect each of them against invasion, and on application of the legislature or of the executive, when the legislature cannot be convened, against domestic violence. The guarantee clause clearly dictates that the federal government has a constitutional duty and obligation to protect each of the states from invasion. As Secretary of the Department of Homeland Security, Alejandro Mayorkas has violated his oath to uphold constitutional duty by allowing the invasion of approximately 10 million illegals across our borders. The ongoing invasion at our southern border is a direct national security threat against the states and against the citizens therein. Secretary Mayorkas has willfully abandoned his duty to secure the border and protect states against invasion, thereby violating Article 4, Section 4 of the Constitution. To wit, since Mayorkas has headed the Department of Homeland Security, there have been 1. Approximately 10 million illegal border crossers who have invaded our country at our border. This is broken down between 8 million encounters and approximately 1,800,000 known gotaways who have invaded United States authorities and are roaming the interior of the United States. 2. At least 280 people on terrorist watch lists caught while attempting to cross the border between ports of entry. 3. Approximately 400,000 unaccompanied illegal children encountered at the southern border, with at least 85,000 of these children having gone missing. 4. At least 1,424 deaths of illegals at the southern border. 5. Approximately 73,000 special interest aliens arrested at our border, which are aliens from a nation that promotes terrorist activity, harbors terrorists, or poses a security threat to the United States. This is the number arrested at the border, not counting however many of the 1,800,000 known gotaways are special interest aliens. 6. Approximately 659 special interest aliens from Iran. 7. Approximately 6,386 special interest aliens from Afghanistan. 8. Approximately 538 special interest aliens from Syria. 9. Approximately 3,153 special interest aliens from Egypt. 10. Approximately 12,624 special interest aliens from Uzbekistan. 11. Approximately 30,830 special interest aliens from Turkey. 12. Approximately 1,613 special interest aliens from Pakistan. 13. Approximately 164 special interest aliens from Lebanon. 14. Approximately 185 special interest aliens from Jordan. 15. Approximately 123 special interest aliens from Iraq. And 16. Approximately 15,594 special interest aliens from Mauritania. In fiscal year 2021, Customs and Border Patrol, CBP, seized approximately 11,200 pounds of fentanyl. In fiscal year 2022, CBP seized approximately 14,700 pounds of fentanyl. In fiscal year 2023, CBP has seized a record of approximately 27,000 pounds of fentanyl. Over 70,000 Americans died from fentanyl in fiscal year 2022. Fentanyl is now the #1 killer of Americans between the ages of 18 and 45. Fentanyl kills approximately 300 Americans a day. This is the amount of fentanyl that has been seized at the border, yet 300 Americans are still being killed by fentanyl poisoning every day. The amount of unseized fentanyl has not even been taken into account. The Constitution also requires the Secretary of the Homeland Security to observe the Immigration and Nationality Act, 8 U.S.C. 1101. This law requires Homeland Security to detain inadmissible aliens arriving in the United States or illegal aliens presently in the United States.
Members, please take your conversations outside. Clerk will report.
Instead, the Department of Homeland Security under Secretary Mayorkas has practiced catch and release policies whereby illegals are detained but then released without any mechanism to ensure they show up to court for processing. By terminating contracts for border wall construction, ending the migrant protection protocols, remain in Mexico, unlawfully granting categorical parole, and being complicit and ending Title 42, Mayorkas has made it easier for illegal people and drugs to enter the United States, endangering American citizens, and has made it harder for CBP to expel such threats. Alejandro Nicolas Mayorkas, in his inability to enforce the law, has engaged in a pattern of conduct that is incompatible with his duties as a civil officer of the United States. Alejandro Nicolas Mayorkas, in his failure to uphold the oath he took, has, by his actions, lost the trust of citizens of the United States to faithfully execute the laws of the United States. Wherefore, Alejandro Nicolas Mayorkas thus warrants impeachment and trial, removal from office, and disqualification to hold and enjoy any office of honor, trust, or profit under the United States.
The resolution qualifies. For what purpose does the gentlewoman from Massachusetts seek recognition?
Mr. Speaker, I have a motion at the desk.
The clerk will report the motion.
Ms. Clark of Massachusetts moves to refer the resolution to the Committee on Homeland Security.
The gentlewoman from Massachusetts is recognized for 1 hour.
I yield back the balance of my time and move the previous question on the motion.
Without objection, the previous question is ordered. The question is on the motion. Those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed say no. No. In the opinion of the chair, the noes have it. The motion is not.
Mr. Speaker, I request the yeas and nays.
The yeas and nays are requested. Those favoring a vote by the yeas and nays will rise. A sufficient number having risen, the yeas and nays are ordered. Members will record their votes by electronic device. Hello. All members voted. Does any member wish to change their vote? On this vote, the yeas are 209 and the nays are 201. The motion is adopted. Without objection, a motion to reconsider is laid on the table.
Up here, man.
Yes, sir.
All right. For what purpose does the gentleman from Florida seek recognition?
Mr. Speaker, I ask unanimous consent that when the House adjourns today, it adjourn to meet at 9 a.m. tomorrow.
Without objection. The chair will now entertain requests for 1-minute speeches. For what purpose does the gentleman from New York seek recognition?
Mr. Speaker, I ask unanimous consent to address the House for 1 minute and to revise and extend my remarks.
Without objection, the gentleman is recognized for 1 minute.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. As a point of personal privilege, I'd like to recognize my grandparents, John and Eileen Lawler, who are here with us tonight. Mr. Speaker, I just returned from a bipartisan delegation trip to Israel, where we met with Prime Minister Netanyahu, Defense Minister Gallant, and U.S. Ambassador Jack Lew. We also met with the family members of some of the 240 hostages currently being held by Hamas. And we viewed raw footage of the barbaric terrorist attack of October 7th. Mr. Speaker, let's be clear. Hamas is a terrorist organization that not only wants to wipe Israel off the face of the earth, they want to eliminate the Jewish people. They must not only be defeated, they must be destroyed. I support Israel's right to defend itself and denounce the ludicrous calls for a ceasefire. No one in this room would have called for a ceasefire after September 11th, and no one should hold Israel to a standard we would not hold ourselves. The United States must stand resolute in our support for Israel. This is a battle of good versus evil. As Edmund Burke said, the only thing necessary for the triumph of evil is for good men to do nothing. Let us not be Neville Chamberlains. Let us be Winston Churchills. Victory at all costs, for without victory, there is no survival. I yield back.
For what purpose does the gentleman from New Jersey seek recognition? Without objection, the gentleman is recognized for 1 minute.
Mr. Speaker, I rise today to discuss the dangers of diabetes for Black Americans. November is National Diabetes Awareness Month. Today, more than 37 million Americans suffer from diabetes, and that number includes almost 5 million Black Americans. Right now, 1 of every 5 Black Americans over 20 years of age has diagnosed or undiagnosed diabetes. And Black Americans are far more likely to develop diabetes than white Americans. Diabetes is the most expensive chronic health condition in our country. The $35 cap on insulin for Medicare beneficiaries in the Inflation Reduction Act helps our seniors afford this life-saving medication. But we need to pass the bill to make the $35 cap on insulin available to all Americans. If we can cap insulin payments, we can help millions of Black Americans afford this critical medication. No diabetic in this country should have to choose between food or insulin every month. And with that, I yield back.
For what purpose does the gentleman from South Carolina seek recognition? Without objection, the gentleman is recognized for 1 minute.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Last night on Sunday Night in America with Trey Gowdy on Fox News, Senator Tim Scott suspended his Republican presidential campaign. In his decision, the senator said, quote, "I love America more today than I did on May 22nd. I'm suspending my campaign. I think the voters, who are the most remarkable people on the planet, have made it really clear, and they're telling me, not now, Tim," end of quote. He has served since 2011 as a congressman and then followed as senator since 2013. Growing up in North Charleston with his inspiring mother, Frances, Senator Scott has two brothers, Ben, an Army Command Sergeant Major, and Earl, an Air Force Colonel. On Friday, to celebrate Happy Diwali, I met with the Consul General Ramesh Babu of India, where I recognized the three countries most attacked by terrorists are India, America, and Israel, with Israel tomorrow being appreciated with AIPAC a part of the rally fighting dictators, as Ukraine is fighting war criminal Putin. In conclusion, God bless our troops who successfully protected America for 20 years as the global war on terrorism continues, moving from Afghanistan's safe haven to America with Biden open borders.
For what purpose does the gentleman from Michigan seek recognition?
Mr. Speaker, I ask unanimous consent to address the House for 1 minute and revise and extend my remarks.
Without objection, the gentleman is recognized for 1 minute.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. In Congress, our mission is clear: to serve the people. However, a pattern has emerged that's troubling. We are seeing an endless cycle of censure resolutions and impeachment measures from some factions within the Republican Party. This isn't just about disagreement, it's about distraction. These actions are eating up valuable time and resources that should be spent on solving real issues facing our constituents. I call on my colleagues across the aisle, let's rethink this path. Our duty to govern, to really serve our people, must come before personal promotion or political posturing. We are here to work for the well-being of our nation and its citizens. I urge my friends on the other side to put an end to this relentless brinkmanship. It's not about backing down, it's about stepping up to our two responsibilities. Mr. Speaker, I yield back.
For what purpose does the gentleman from Pennsylvania seek recognition?
Mr. Speaker, request unanimous consent to address the House for 1 minute and to revise and extend my remarks.
Without objection, the gentleman is recognized for 1 minute.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I rise today to recognize members of the McKean County 4-H Club who participated and excelled at the Pennsylvania 4-H State Horse Show in Harrisburg from October 26th to the 29th. Congratulations to Reese Kenny for winning Grand Champion in pole bending ponies and also finishing in third place in cutback ponies in the 14 to 18-year-old age group. Congratulations to Adriana Kessler and Jesse Gold, who collected reserve champion trophies. Congratulations to Charlie Aeo, who finished 10th in Western horsemanship, and Claire Storer, who finished 9th in Western grooming and showmanship, and 8th in beginner Western pleasure for the 12 to 14-year-old age group. Congratulations to Georgia Barth, who finished 6th in low equitation over fences, and Madeline McKean, who finished 7th in cutback horses and 9th in barrel horses for the 8 to 13-year-old age group. Congratulations to Melissa Burton, who finished 8th in hunt seat equitation for the 15 to 18-year-old age group and 8th in the breed type hunter under saddle for the 14 to 18-year-old age group. And congratulations to Addison Storts, who finished 3rd in the EWT Independent WT Sportsmanship, 4th in EWD Minimum Assistance Equation, and 7th in EWD Minimum Assistance Obstacle Trail. Also representing McKean County at the event were Mason Reed, Sarah Long, and Braylene Taylor. I'm so proud of all their work. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I yield back the balance of my time.
For what purpose does the gentleman from North Carolina seek recognition?
Thanks, Mr. Speaker. I ask for unanimous consent to address the House for 1 minute to revise and extend.
Without objection, the gentleman is recognized for 1 minute.
Mr. Speaker, I rise to address a significant issue that would affect the hardworking families and farmers of North Carolina. The FDA's proposed rule to ban menthol cigarettes and flavored cigars. Having grown up cropping tobacco to help my family make ends meet, I know firsthand how this industry impacts eastern North Carolina, rural America, and beyond. Mr. Speaker, we must be mindful that this well-intended ban could have an unintended consequence. It might increase the availability of illegal tobacco products and, more concerning, jeopardize the livelihoods of families and farmers by eliminating at least 6,000 menthol cigarette industry jobs in North Carolina. We must always protect our communities and their well-being. To be clear, we need jobs. That's why I sent a bipartisan letter to the President with my North Carolina colleague, Representative David Rouser, and I asked the administration to thoroughly consider the economic implications of this proposed ban before taking decisive action. Thank you, and I yield back.
For what purpose does the gentleman from Georgia seek recognition?
I ask unanimous consent to address the House for 1 minute to revise and extend my remarks.
Without objection, the gentleman is recognized for 1 minute.
Mr. Speaker, I rise today to celebrate the beloved city of Savannah, which has been recognized as one of the best places to retire in the United States by HGTV. Since I've been a resident of Georgia's 1st District my whole life, I know that it is the best place to live and retire, but it's nice to see Savannah receiving the national recognition it deserves. Affordability plays a pivotal role in the city earning this distinction, with the cost of living notably below the national average, as well as the absence of estate taxes. Other key factors that contributed to the city's rankings include its delightful weather, tax-friendly area, and convenient and accessible transportation. Our historic city squares, riverfront dining, musical and artistic amenities, and the southern charm make it the perfect place to live and retire. And I have done that all my life and intend to retire there as well. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I yield back.
For what purpose does the gentlewoman from Ohio seek recognition?
Consent to address the House for 1 minute to revise and extend my remarks.
Without objection, the gentlewoman is recognized.
Mr. Speaker, I rise today to encourage the big middle of this House to come together to support immediate passage of fiscal year 2024 funding for the U.S. government operations, including the interests of national security. Without fiscal year 2024 funding in place, which should have begun on October 1st of this year, our military faces uncertainty in its funding and resource allocation. Funding delays waste time, leading to impaired military operations, decreased training, delayed procurement, reduced vehicle maintenance, yielding lower readiness. These unnecessary delays undermine our military's ability to respond to threats effectively at home and abroad. I hope the American people are noticing which extremist members of this House are responsible for this long-delayed funding compromise. Vladimir Putin, he's applauding them. They and we take an oath to defend America against all enemies, foreign and domestic. Let's do it. I yield back.
For what purpose does the gentleman from California seek recognition? Without objection, the gentleman is recognized for 1 minute.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Well, I guess we need to remind the Biden administration that there is a gigantic problem in the Middle East, most of it caused by Iran, the major sponsor of terror in the world. In Yemen, threatening our Saudi friends, and of course, all around Israel. So what's the remedy? Oh, a few weeks ago it was to unfreeze $6 billion worth of Iranian assets in order to help them fund whatever activity, which is probably going to be terror. So what is the Biden administration considering now? Another $10 billion of unfreezing assets to allow them to continue this battle. You have to ask the question, whose side are they on? It makes absolutely no sense to give them more materiel, more assets,
more ability for them to make war against our ally at a time when we're contemplating sending significant resources, as we should, to our ally in Israel. Yet we can't get out of our tracks around here enough to do so. Mr. Speaker, they need to think much harder about what they do with Iran and allowing them to be a sponsor of terror. I yield back.
For what purpose does the gentleman from New York seek recognition?
Mr. Speaker, I ask unanimous consent to address the House for 1 minute and to revise and extend my remarks.
Without objection, the gentleman is recognized for 1 minute.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise today to mark Transgender Awareness Week. This is an important time to celebrate, honor, and uplift trans people, the history, the stories, and their culture. It is also a time to stand up against ongoing hate and discrimination. Extremist politicians around our country and in this chamber continue to work to strip away the rights and the liberties of the trans community. In ongoing appropriations debates, House Republicans have brought forward unserious proposals with riders targeting and demonizing the trans and broader LGBTQ+ communities. So these riders include limiting access to essential and safe gender-affirming health care, bans on art forms including drag, and allowing broad licenses to discriminate. The trans community deserves so much better. They deserve the ability, like all of us, to live fully and authentically and without facing violence, discrimination, or harassment. I urge all of my colleagues to support the trans community and oppose these cruel and relentless attacks. As a member of Congress, as a member of the Equality Caucus, I vow to continue to fight for the cause. With that, I yield back, Mr. Speaker.
For what purpose does the gentleman from Illinois seek recognition?
Mr. Speaker, I ask to address the House for 1 minute and revise and extend my remarks.
Without objection, the gentleman is recognized for 1 minute.
Mr. Speaker, I rise today to honor and congratulate Jim DeRose on his retirement as Bradley University's men's soccer coach after 28 successful seasons. Beginning his career in 1996 at the age of 28 and as the youngest coach in NCAA Division I men's soccer, Jim quickly emerged as a dominant figure in college soccer. Under Jim's leadership, Bradley's soccer program reached new heights and resulted in a 2007 run to the NCAA Elite Eight, where Jim was chosen as the National Coach of the Year. During his tenure as head coach, Jim held a record of 267 wins, 227 losses, and 66 ties, with 7 NCAA tournament appearances, the highest of any coach in Bradley University athletics history. In addition to his accomplishments on the pitch, the accolades of his players in the classroom and post-graduation are a testament to his ability to grow his players into successful young men. Jim has been an integral part of the growing game of soccer throughout Central Illinois and in college soccer, and his legacy will last for years to come. It is my privilege to congratulate Coach Jim DeRose on his retirement after 28 years with Bradley University. We wish him well, his wife Robin, and his 2 children, Raleigh and JR, all the best. I yield back.
For what purpose does the gentlewoman from Illinois seek recognition?
I ask for unanimous consent to address the House for 1 minute.
Without objection, the gentlewoman is recognized for 1 minute.
Mr. Speaker, I rise today to acknowledge National Diabetes Month. As chair of the CBC Health Brain Trust, I have long been focused on how diabetes disproportionately affects Black Americans. From lack of investment to a racist healthcare culture, Black Americans face significant obstacles to treating and preventing diabetes. Black Americans undeniably face unique and significant stressors because of racial discrimination. Research shows a clear link between social stress and health outcomes, emphasizing we must not only address the physical aspects of diabetes, but also its underlying social determinants. We can address risk factors from diabetes from the earliest moments: exposure before birth, such as undernutrition, maternal stress, and maternal obesity, can substantially increase the risk of developing type 2 diabetes in adulthood. And our efforts can continue outside of the traditional medical system by increasing access to healthy food, reducing food insecurities, and expanding opportunities for nutrition therapy and counseling. We can reduce the risk for diabetes without first turning to a more costly and time-consuming treatment. I want to give a special shout out to Chantel Brown for bringing CBC members together to highlight this issue.